Hey guys, welcome back to this week's pull here on Comic Relief Cast. I'm your host Jake.
And I'm your host Josh, and this is What Are We Reading?
And if you guys haven't already, we worked very hard this week on the Marvel episode for this channel, so please make sure you check that one out. There's a lot of good stuff coming out from Marvel. DC, on the other hand, does not have a whole lot coming out. They've really cut back their titles, so we don't have a whole lot of books to go over today. So we're just going to go over a few of them, give you guys our thoughts on them. And if you guys have anything you want to discuss, be sure to do that in the comments below. But this is the DC one, so we are going to kick it right off with Josh and Batman issue 69.
Yeah, I read Batman 69 by Tom King and Piketty? No, whatever. This is the finale for the Nightmare story arc that's been going on. And as you guys all know, I'm not a huge fan of this Nightmare story arc. I see Tom King trying to be artsy, but it's taking way too long, and it's not really doing anything. You do get some answers regarding what potentially could be Batman's father from Flashpoint and Bane that team up. If you guys can recall all the way back from like issue 50, and this has also answered some questions about regarding the wedding fallout.
Oh, yeah, like 20 issues later.
Yeah, 20 issues later. So, it's not my cup of tea. I didn't really like the story arc. As a story arc as a whole, I'm going to give it like a 1.9. This issue, I'll give it a 2.1.
Well, thanks, Josh. You just got us our one thumbs down we get on every DC video.
I know, but hey, I will say this. 69 and 68 has some great, beautiful Matina variants. I will suggest going out and getting those.
Well, 69 is beautiful. All right, moving on to Justice League issue 22 by James Tynion and Francis Manapul. It's got a pretty good Lionel Francis Yu variant cover as well.
I don't like how he draws Aquaman.
Yeah, the thing is, he just structures all these covers very similar together.
Yeah.
But this one kind of takes a break because it is a Legion of Doom issue instead of really the Justice League. So it's taking a break from like the doppelganger thing that's been going on, which I found really intriguing. And James Tynion kind of gets to tackle what Snyder has set up ever since the No Justice storyline with the Source Wall and it breaking and all that's kind of been going on.
He's leaving him with the hard work.
Yeah, he's really leaving him with the heavy lifting, and so this even kind of somewhat ties into the Dark Knight's Metal stuff that went on, and we're finally getting a lot of answers to that. And I found this book extremely heady in the sense that it's got very high concepts. Right, it's really hard to kind of wrap your mind around what's really being said. It's like when someone says that the Big Bang started with something the size of a marble and it exploded. We're like, well, what was surrounding that marble? Nothing. There was just nothing around it. You can't really picture it. It just doesn't really compute with our minds. That's kind of how this book was a little bit, but in a way that I actually really enjoyed. I actually really like this. You kind of get who is Perpetua, where does she come from, how did our universe and the multiverse start, what three, who her sons are, which have been introduced. And what I think is kind of interesting is that this book actually goes really far out of its way to kind of retcon, or actually maybe for the first time even, I really don't know, give an origin to the Anti-Monitor.
Yeah.
A character that's been lurking around, the DC universe since the 70s. Now we've got kind of a background and history and origin for his character and his brothers and what they're meant to represent. But as far as the concepts goes and the execution, I actually really enjoyed this. Surprisingly, I didn't think I was going to care.
I'm on the other end of that.
Oh wow.
I mean, it wasn't bad, but I don't know. This is definitely just an origin story for Perpetua, and that's kind of cool. And it's just kind of leading you up to the next big villain that's going to be in like the DC or the villain stuff. It's going to be this next big villain, and I just feel like what DC just keeps doing is keeps going bigger and bigger and bigger, and that's understandable. But at the same time, it's just like this one just seems like it's going a little too over top.
I mean, you're right. It is big, and it's kind of
because like I'm sitting here going like, how is the Justice League supposed to even stop this?
Well, yeah, absolutely, and they're gonna find some ridiculously convoluted way to stop it.
Yeah,
but
it's gonna be. I'm just seeing bad writings happening from like in the future.
Well, for this issue is all I'm judging it on right now, and I actually really like it. Yeah, like you said, it is big. It's huge, and DC's kind of written themselves into a sense that they're so cosmic all the time. Not all the time, but there's a lot of it is very cosmic, that you have to go bigger and bigger and bigger. And this is just about as big as you can possibly get. With, I don't know if it's even a first appearance of one big celestial being thing. I'm not sure if it is or not. But It is. It's huge, and I actually really like it though. I think it's cool, but I'm also into all that kind of stuff. Like I like that big cosmic ideas and like where did things come from?
Big cosmic ideas.
But when you throw in like how did
top.
the universe get made and where does it all come from, and like you give an explanation to it, and it's in a comic book form, I think it's kind of neat. And for that, did you rate Batman, by the way?
Did I rate Batman?
I don't remember
did,
now.
but I never actually said our rating scale.
Oh, yeah, okay, well then I'll unveil
Yeah.
the rating scale, which you should have done. I'm going to give this book 3.4 cat racists.
I'm going to give it 2.75 cat
Wow,
races.
all right, so this is like the second time tonight we've really had a big divide over how we felt about certain
Yeah.
things. All right, moving on to Assassin Nation, #2 by Kyle Starks and Erica Henderson. And this is from Image Comics and Skybound. And we did, about a month ago probably, we reviewed issue 1. We thought this was kind of neat. The concept is one of the world's best assassins ever, who's now kind of getting into, he's kind of getting older. He hires the 20 best assassins now in the world to be his bodyguards because someone's trying to put a hit out on him. And this is just more about how all these assassins kind of get along with big egos, how they all, get along in one room together for so long, and the bullets fly, and we get some background and history on some of the first kills on some of these assassins. It was a fun little issue though. I mean, the first issue I thought was a lot of fun. This one's fun too.
I think it's fun. It reads a lot like a movie. Like it kind of, I know this is like a really obscured one. It kind of reminds me of Rat Race, only about dealing with like it's like
Yeah.
it's like Shane Black was to do.
I was
like
just about to say this feels a little Shane Black.
Yeah. It's very fun. Erica Henderson's artwork. This is a sign of like well-placed art.
Yeah.
So it works really well in this. And there's a lot of moments in this that it's just like really kind of like moments where you're gonna be like wanting to talk about it with your buddies afterwards.
Yeah, and I gotta say, this art style I would not want in a Marvel or DC book necessarily, but for this material, I think it works really well. Because I don't think this is something you're supposed to take too seriously. It is kind of like a side-eyed glance, just kind of winking at the audience. Like, this is just really over the top and ridiculous, and we're just going to have a good time with it. So, with that, I'm going to give this book a 3.6 cat racists.
Yeah, I'm actually at 3.5. So
All right.
not that far from you.
All right, moving on to Teen Titans, issue 29 by Glass, Chang, and Maiolo. And this is the Terminus Agenda Part 3. And if you guys have been listening to us, we haven't really been down on the Terminus Agenda too much. It feels very much like something we've seen before with Deathstroke and the Teen Titans, and it doesn't feel very new. It doesn't feel like they're doing anything, especially fresh with it. But this book, it gets back to what makes this Teen Titans run so special and so good, I think. And it focuses a lot less on what's going on with Deathstroke and more about just how the team is interacting, how they're coping with what's been going on, these secrets that have been held, who's keeping the secrets, who's finding out about the secrets, and how, those conflicting ideologies. And then you're also getting a little bit of, the love triangle thing going on with Crush and Jin and Robin. And I think that's really good. And I think this actually might be a book that people, I don't know, they talk about being a first appearance, or not first appearance, but like when Crush finally reveals that she is a lesbian. I mean, I don't think that's been a secret if you've been reading this book, but she finally comes out and actually says it in this book that, yes, I am in fact gay.
I do like this. It definitely goes back to the formula, and it definitely tackles more of like the interpersonal relations between the team, and that's one thing that made this book really solid. Because most relationships in a team, it's usually like that's very well formulated. You usually got like one hothead, one goofball, but they're all still at the end of the day they act like a family. And this seems more like a traditional family with it being dysfunctional. And I think that really is one thing that makes this Teen Titans run really good. With this Terminus Agenda, like what you said, we haven't really been into it. We've read Teen Titans going up against Deathstroke millions of times, and it kind of felt very generic when it came to that. This issue goes right back to that formula.
Yeah, it kind of breaks away from that.
Yeah, it breaks away from it, and it has a really great ending to it. And I'm still really enjoying this run. And this actually just brings me a little bit more to it, where like when we had to read this, I was like kind of bummed out because of the past couple of the Terminus Agenda, and I read it. It was like one of my first books I read, and I kind of wish I waited because it was one of my favorite books that I read today.
Yeah,
from DC and Indies.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this one. I think what's interesting about these characters is they're all archetypes, but they're not stock characters, right? They all have, like Kid Flash, he's kind of the moral compass. Crush is your heavy hitter, Jin is your magic power. Like, they're all these kind of archetypal characters, but they all have such a distinct personality to them.
Yeah.
They all have they all feel very real. They're very real characters. They're all very fleshed out, and who they are it's very clear. And I really enjoy that about this book, and I really love when they all interact, because no two characters in this book, save for maybe Red Arrow and Damien, look at this world the same way. They all have a very distinct outlook on the world and the way things should be done. So I think that Teen Titans is a very special book with a very special cast. I would highly recommend this series. I'm going to give this particular issue a 3.45 cat racists.
I'm giving it 3.6 cat racist.
All right, and then I am going to be moving on for my final book of the episode, Naomi, issue 4 by Brian Michael Bendis, Walker, and Campbell. And this, guys, to me, this is a big surprise. The Wonder Comics stuff has really not been doing much for me. Naomi, when we first saw it on our order forums, Josh and I actually even had a little bit of an argument about how many issues we should order over this, and I didn't think it was going to do too well.
Shout out to Chuck for having to deal with that argument.
Yeah, and we didn't think that it was going to do too well. Granted, we are still sitting on one copy of issue 1. We didn't order a lot, but I think this is a book that people they're appreciating in the issue 1, obviously, because it has somewhat of a low print run. But it's something that not a lot of people are reading, and I want to try and give as much attention to this book as possible, because I think with Bendis over at DC, he's putting out a lot of pretty mediocre books right now, but Naomi is not one of them. Naomi is obviously the book that he's pouring his heart and soul into, because it obviously hits very close to home. He does have adopted daughters, and that's what this book deals with. And this one gives us much more background on who her father is, how her father met her mother, and how her father, we learned this in the last issue, so it's not really a spoiler, but her father is actually not from Earth. It's not Naomi herself that's some alien-like Superman who came crash-landed from Earth. It's actually her father, who's actually part of the Rannian race from Rann during the Rann and Thanagar War and stuff like that. So when you find out all the information about how this came to be and who the big guy is, the big mechanic that you kind of thought maybe was her real father and stuff before, all this stuff really comes together in a really interesting way, and this does feel unique and fresh. But not only that, but you can feel that it's not divorced of the love that Bendis has for his own family, and he's pouring it into this book. And I think that this is something that, unfortunately, we're not going to get a whole lot more of, because I think it's only supposed to go for 6 issues, and I would like more of this style book from Bendis, because this is where he's really excelling, and he's actually, for a teen character, he's writing her very well. This book I'm going to give a 3.85 cat racist. This was my favorite issue from DC and Indie this week.
I think it is a miniseries, but sadly, I think he's taking her and putting her over to Young Justice.
Oh, great!
From what I've seen on order forms.
That's unfortunate.
I read Gideon Falls number 12 by Jeff Lemire and Sorrentino. This is supposed to be the beginning of a new story arc, but I want to throw out there that if you're somebody who's just wanting to pick it up for the first time on issue 12, don't do it, because you will not understand anything that's going on.
Abandon all hope.
Yeah, but I will highly recommend picking up the trades. Volume 2 comes out the same day as 12 comes out, and that will catch you right up to 11. This issue, continues to do exactly, if you've been reading Gideon Falls, it gives you a little bit of answers, and then it makes you feel like you kind of got a grip of what's going on, and then they instantly just kind of make you really confused and you don't know what's going on. I really do love this run, this story, and I like where it's going. I always have a hard time reviewing this because I don't want to give too much stuff away.
Right.
I want people to it's all about mystery here. But this is a really good one. I highly recommend it. It has a great variant for it. I give this probably about 3.75. Cat racist.
All right, guys. Well, that is all we've got for you this episode. We're sorry that we're a little light, but honestly, DC has really been cutting back their titles. A lot of the other stuff that came out today, like Nightwing and Aquaman and Electric Warriors, things like that, are titles that Josh and I just don't keep up on. We haven't, and it would take a long time for us to try and catch up. And with so many other things to read, it's really hard for us to do that. But so if there is a book that came out this week from DC that you were hoping we'd go over and we didn't, we do apologize, but please feel free to discuss that in the comments below. Maybe you can persuade Josh and I to go back and start catching up to what's going on now if it's good, but that is all we've got for you guys. Please hit that like button if you would. Share this with your comic book reading friends. Comment below, as I've already said. Let us know what you guys think of any of these books. And, of course, we're inching closer to that 1,000 subscriber mark. Help us get there if you're not a subscriber already. And we will see you guys next Tuesday with more comic book reviews. Take care.
Love you.